welcome. I am doing a quick little demo batch of these macarons, and I just wanted to record a little test video to demonstrate how things should kind of look. So I've already got my batter mixed here, but I just wanted to give you guys a look at how it is. So I've gone ahead and dyed mine blue, and as you can see, it's pretty thick and lava-like, but it smooths out, and we don't want to fold it too much. If you overwork it, it will affect the texture, but it kind of runs off the spatula, and then it was at the point where I was making a figure eight, and it will settle back into itself here. So found a nice hair in there. I'm gonna go ahead and get rid of that. And so these bad bois are ready to pipe. So over here I have my piping bag with a round tip. This is probably about a ½ inch. Yeah, probably about a ½ inch tip. You can use larger or smaller depending on the size macarons that you want to make. I don't know, I'll show you this real quick too. You can see all that batter settled back in. It's nice and smooth. Not too wet. You don't want it soupy. You want it pretty lava-like. And I'm just gonna load up my piping bag here. My oven is preheated to 325 right now, but I'm not gonna bake these right away. I really like to get every last bit out of here. Kind of a stickler about that. I don't know, something they beat into my head during pastry school, I guess. It makes it easier to clean. Okay, so now I've got my bag, and I don't want to force the batter out of the tip, but I do want to get rid of the air bubbles. So I'm just gently squeezing it all down and trying to kind of squeeze out air bubbles as I go. I have a little bit of runoff here, that's fine. All right, so piping these guys. I want to do an egg shape, so I'm going to pipe them a little oblong, but I'll show you a circle first. You want to be straight up and down, perpendicular to your pan, and hold your ground. Don't get pushed around by the batter, and then you just do a wipe. So straight up and down. I'm not moving the tip. I'm staying at the same height, and I'm not squeezing too hard. And that's gonna give me nice, even little circle buddies here. Okay? Now, because this is kind of a robin's egg blue, and it's spring and love is in the air, I thought I would also do some eggs, which is where I'm gonna start a little thinner at the top, and then come down and apply more pressure to get a general egg shape. This is not an exact science. I'm just gonna do the best that I can to get them to be about the same size so that I can make some sandwiches when it's all said and done. And I'm still keeping perpendicular as much as I can as I'm piping. If you get a little air bubble, that's fine. Just wait it out. You can see how these have already smoothed out a lot. It's actually a pretty wet mix just because of the ratio of the powdered sugar to almond meal in it, which is a little different than my standard recipe, but I think this one will be a little more agreeable for home baking. So now that I've got these guys piped, we're gonna slam it on the counter a few good times and get rid of these air bubbles. It's gonna smooth out the surfaces, make it look nice and even. Forgive the noise, but you can see these bubbles popping here. You don't want those in there, so a few good taps. That's a part that a lot of people don't know to do. So wanted to make sure that you guys knew what to do there. And then, because we're trying to make these look like robin's eggs, I'm just going to put a little bit of cocoa powder on here and create kind of a speckle. Just like that. Not too much. Very lightly tapping this guy. If you have a little sifter, I'm actually using a tea infuser right now because it's the first thing I grabbed there. And because this is a little bit wetter mix, it might take a little longer to dry. Generally, we're looking at around 20 to 30 minutes before we actually want to throw them in the oven. So I'm going to let these dry, and then I'll show you the finished product. All right, so it's been like 35 minutes or so, and I'm looking at these guys, and they've got a nice skin on them now. They're still soft, but they're not tacky or sticky. They're not wet. So I think they're just about ready to go in the oven. Some of the bigger ones are a little softer than the other ones, but I think they're gonna be okay. This was an extra one I poured afterwards, just as a little tester, so you can kind of see what that skin looks like. You want it to be a little thicker than what this one has right here, but the rest of these aren't quite so, they're not so thick, so the skin on them is a little stronger. So I'm gonna go ahead and pop these bad boys in the oven. Should take about 13 minutes to bake with a rotation halfway through. So we'll take a look when they come out. All right, so I just pulled these guys out of the oven. They took about 14 minutes. So what you're looking for in doneness on a macaron is that it's risen up, you've gotten the feet on it, which this recipe worked out great. And then you want it to be pretty stable. So I don't know if you can see, I have a little bit of wiggle here, but not much. It feels pretty solid. You don't want them totally dried out, and we're also not trying to put any color on the shell. These got just a little tinge of it around the edge, but for the most part, they're still just that blue. And then just to show you the importance of having a skin, this is what happens if you don't wait and you throw them in too early before they properly form a skin is that when they rise, they're gonna break apart and split open on you, and you really need that skin, that shell to form so that it lifts up as the feet come out and the moisture evaporates, that shell stays intact, and then you have a nice smooth product. So yeah, I think this recipe is gonna work out great for us, and looking forward to getting these done with you.